Good morning. Well, it's morning for me. It might not be morning for you, but hello. I am here to teach you all about what we're doing for reading today. So, I'm going to tell you what you have to do online, and then I'm going to do a little listening comprehension with you where I will read a story to you. So, first of all, when you open up your reading assignments, you'll see 3 different things that you can click on today. The first one is the Unit 1 video. We have a video for every unit that we start, and it's all about where we live and who we are. Next, you'll have a weekly launch map, and I'll go ahead and open that up. And the weekly launch map is really neat because it is a map that you can learn about lots of different cool things, and hopefully it loads. But there are just a couple of activities that you'll do when you open up this weekly launch map. So what you can do is you can press this play button.
Going from here to there.
To listen to the audio. You can look at the pictures, the infographics, and the little text boxes. It's really, really neat. And then you can come over here. I'll move my picture. You can come over here and look at the directions on the right side of the screen. It says, weekly question, how do people travel in different environments? And then it says turn and talk. Now, if you're an e-learner, I know that you probably won't be able to turn and talk to anybody to do this activity. So that's okay if you do it by yourself. But it says compare the environments where you live to those shown on the map. What are some ways you go from one place to another? Make connections to your personal experiences. Discuss your ideas with a partner. I know you won't have a partner. That's okay. Following language conventions to communicate ideas effectively. This includes speaking with proper grammar, correct sentence structure, and logical word order. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make connection to your personal experiences. Okay, and you are going to write those connections to your personal experiences right here. Okay, and then you don't need to do this. You can if you want, but you don't need to. That is the only thing that I'm going to require for you to do today for the weekly map. Now, let's go back and I'll show you what else you'll need to do. Okay, after you do the video, the weekly launch map, you will do you'll open up this page that says genre traditional tales. And this is just like a page in your reading book. And all you'll need to do is read or listen and then respond to the reading in the text areas below, which is just like very similar to the map. Okay, so remember, press that play button here to listen. And then when you get to the bottom here for the turn and talk, describe your favorite traditional tale to a partner. Once you learn all about what traditional tales are, you'll know what they are once you've read this. Then you can respond using this button here. Okay? Then here's a really cool little anchor chart that will help you. This is also in your book. Challenge for you. See if you can find that in your book. Okay? So there is that, and that's all that you need to do for the activities that are online to do. Now, I'm going to go back to this PowerPoint because we are going to be using this. Well, it's actually not a PowerPoint. It's a Google slide. We are going to be using this Google slide for me to teach lessons to you and make little anchor charts for you. Okay, so I titled it Grandma and the Great Gourd, Unit 1, Week 1, Anchor Charts. And then I made a blank slide over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a traditional tale. It's called The Boy's Advice. What I want you to do is to listen actively by paying attention to the setting, where the story takes place, and the plot elements, which you'll learn more about this week in the story as I read it. I will read the story once all the way through, and then I will read it again where I will do think alouds. I will pause and I will tell you my thinking as I read. But before I start reading, I want you to pause this video and go ahead and complete the activities that are online. When you're done, come back so that you can listen to the story. That way, you will already have read about what a folktale is. I mean, traditional tale. All right, so you should have paused the video, finished that online work, and now you're back to listen to the story. So here we go. The boy's advice. A man had spent all day gathering coconuts. They were carefully piled in a cart behind his horse. The man could tell from the setting sun and his grumbling stomach that it was getting late. If I hurry home, maybe my dinner will still be warm, he said to himself. If you hurry, it will take you longer to get home, said a boy peeking behind a tree. If you take your time, you will get home sooner. Who are you? The man asked. And what do you know? Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. The boy disappeared behind the tree, and the man quickly forgot about him. He prodded his horse to go faster and began thinking about the food waiting for him at home. Suddenly, the man heard a clunk, clunk, clunk. He turned around and saw coconuts rolling out of the cart and onto the ground. The man stopped his horse, picked up the coconuts, piled them carefully in the cart, and started again. Now I'll really have to hurry if I want warm dinner, he said to himself. But as soon as the horse moved faster, more coconuts spilled out of the cart. This happened many times during the journey home. Each time he prodded his horse to go faster, the coconuts spilled onto the ground again. The man never followed the boy's advice, and when he finally got home, he ate his dinner cold. That is the end of the story. So I'm going to read the story again and pause for think alouds this time. I'll let you know when I'm doing a think aloud. Before I start, I'm going to start our very first anchor chart. Okay? So this anchor chart is going to say the activity that we're doing: listening, comprehension, because you're listening to me read, and then I'm going to write the title of our listening comprehension. The boy's advice. Okay, now I have my slide all set up how I want it. I'm going to read you the story again, and while I pause for think alouds. The boy's advice. A man had spent all day gathering coconuts. They were carefully piled in a cart behind his horse. The man could tell from the sun setting in his grumbling stomach that it was getting late. If I hurry home, maybe my dinner will still be warm, he said to himself. If you hurry, it will take you longer to get home, said a boy peeking behind a tree. If you take your time, you will get home sooner. Who are you? The man asked. And what do you know? Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. And here is my think aloud, what I'm thinking about as I'm reading. So in the first paragraph, I read that the man used the sun and his hunger to tell him it was time to hurry home, right? This makes me think that the story takes place in the past, because today the character might use a smartphone or look at his watch to tell the time, right? The setting is a clue that this story may be a traditional tale. Let's keep reading. The boy disappeared behind the tree, and the man quickly forgot about him. He prodded his horse to go faster and began thinking about food waiting for him at home. Suddenly, the man heard clunk, clunk, clunk. He turned around and saw coconuts rolling out of the cart onto the ground. The man stopped his horse, picked up the coconuts, piled them carefully in the cart, and started again. Now I'll really have to hurry if I want a warm dinner, he said to himself. But as soon as the horse moved faster, more coconuts spilled out of the cart. This happened many times during the journey home. Each time he prodded his horse to go faster, the coconuts spilled onto the ground again. The man never followed the boy's advice, and when he finally got home, he ate dinner cold. Here's my think aloud. So I noticed that the man paid no attention to the boy's warning from the beginning. First, he tells the boy to leave him alone, and then he repeatedly ignores the boy's advice. The man has a chance to use the boy's advice each time he must stop and pick up the spilled coconuts, but because of his impatience, he ends up taking a long time to get home and his dinner is cold. I think the series of events, or the plot, in this traditional tale was meant to show the negative consequences of a man's actions and to teach a listener teach the listener a lesson about patience. So now I'm going to retell the story, okay? And when we retell a story, we tell the most important parts of the story. A retelling maintains the meaning of the story and what the story is about. A retelling also maintains the logical order of the story. So as I'm telling, oops, I just got rid of my video on accident. Sorry, guys. So as I tell you, as I retell the story, I will only say the most important parts. Here we go. Here's my retelling. So a man is trying to get home because he's hungry. He gets some advice from a little boy that if he goes slower, he'll get home earlier and he won't spill anything. But then he doesn't follow the boy's advice, and he doesn't follow the boy's advice again, and he keeps spilling his coconuts out of his cart. Soon enough, he gets home, but his dinner is cold because he didn't listen to the boy's advice. Now let's fill in the rest of this anchor chart. So we know that the genre of this story was a traditional tale. Okay? And what else? The other things that we are going to identify about this tale is the problem and the solution. Because a lot of times in traditional tales, there are a problem and solution. Or, since there's not really a solution in this one, we could call it the cause and effect. Okay? So, let's fill out these cause and effects here for our anchor chart. So, the effect is going to be what happens because of something. I like to fill out the effect part first when I'm doing cause and effect. So I know in our story that we listened to that the effect was that the man took a long time to get home and his dinner was cold. Okay? The cause, the reason why he took a long time to get home and his dinner was cold, is because the man kept prodding. That kind of means like tapping his horse to get him to go faster, prodding his horse to go faster, and he kept dropping his coconuts. So the cause to the effect was the man kept prodding his horse to go faster, and he kept dropping his coconuts, and that caused him to take a long time to get home, and so his dinner was cold. Okay, I'm going to leave this here, and we're going to continue tomorrow and add to our anchor chart. And by the end, we'll have all of our anchor charts filled out, and then you can use them to study for the weekly progress checkup at the end of the week. Have a great day.